Friday is back in Singapore, recounting his ordeal. In a two-page media statement, Mr. Vincento said one of the three men who ambushed the tour bus was holding a machine gun, while the other two carried rifles. He said he was punched a few times and pushed into a waiting car. Mr. To said the kidnappers tied his hands and legs tightly together before the vehicle drove off. It later emerged that Mr. To was to be exchanged for one of them held by Egyptian authorities. But later that night he was whisked from one vehicle to another until he came face to face with several people who identified themselves as the Egyptian police.
A 6.4 magnitude undersea earthquake jolted the sea area off the east coast of Honshu, the main island of Japan, at about 4:30 a.m. Singapore time. U.S. seismologists said that no tsunami alert was issued. The quake had a depth of 31 kilometers and was centered some 140 kilometers east of the city of Sendai. In March last year, a 9 magnitude undersea earthquake off Japan's northeast coast triggered a monster tsunami. It left about 19,000 people dead or missing and crippled the Fukushima nuclear power plant.
Britain will announce this week a $1.57 billion contract to build reactors for its next generation of nuclear submarines. Defense Secretary Philip Hammond confirmed he would be unveiling a deal for engines of a new class of submarines that would replace the current fleet carrying the Trident nuclear missiles. The decision could cause a new rift in Britain's coalition government. Prime Minister David Cameron's Conservatives are in favour of keeping Trident, but the Liberal Democrats want a cheaper alternative.
Rodney King, the African-American at the center of the Los Angeles riots 20 years ago, has been found dead, aged 47. His fiancée found his body at the bottom of a swimming pool, but there was no sign of foul play. King was the victim of police brutality in 1991, but the officers involved were acquitted the following year. The verdict triggered clashes between rioters and police, which left more than 50 dead, thousands injured, and thousands of properties destroyed.
Here's a recap of the main headlines this hour. Greece's two main pro-bailout parties have clinched enough votes to form a government in knife-edge elections. And at home, the Attorney General's chambers has explained why Wafulu was charged under the Road Traffic Act and not under the Penal Code. It said one of the reasons was that there was no major accident or injury in the case. Now, for more about news stories, please log on to cinemsn.com/938live. Your news updates this hour were edited by Shima Roy. I'm Daniel Martin.
I'm Bharati Jagdish. You're listening to Fresh on 938 Live. Good morning.
938 Live gets you talking.
And now, the LTA traffic news.
It's heavy right now in the CTE tunnel.